Hi, everybody. I'm Scott, and thanks for joining us again today for another episode of the In Medicine and On Medicine podcast. As you can see, we are not in the studio. Today, we are killing two birds with one stone because it is our 51st episode, which means that it's holiday time. And so, busy doc over here doesn't have enough time to get everything done, so we thought we'd kill a couple of birds with one stone for her here and do the Aaron Sorkin and talk and walk and decorate the tree while we talk about a holiday issue. And as always, this is Susan Wellman. She is an Oriental medicine doctor and East Asian medical practitioner here in the Las Vegas, Nevada Valley. Her information will come across the screen every so often if you'd like to get in touch with her, ask questions, make appointments, etc., etc. You'll see the animals running around here because they're used to sleeping while we're in the studio doing this. Questions and comments you may also leave in the comments section below. We'll do our best to get answers to you as soon as possible. So we're going to move around here a little bit and chat while we decorate the tree. So let's get a couple ornaments. Tell me what you want me to do to help you. And let's start with this time of year, tough time of year. We overindulge, food, drink, other sort of recreational opportunities. How does Chinese medicine look at overindulgence?
Well, let's see, where's a good place to start? So periodically during the year, sometimes all of us have probably been guilty at one time or another of overindulging in something. And this time of year seems to be when that is much more common. So as with everything in Chinese medicine, it's all about harmonious balance, right? Keeping everything kind of, in the middle, right? And so...
But this time of year is about nothing
really
but...
hard. Yeah,
with the food, with the drinking,
hard.
with the family stress, it's like nothing but throwing us out of balance.
So in Chinese herbal medicine, there's a whole class of herbs that are called herbs that reduce food stagnation. So you can kind of imagine what food stagnation is, right? Now, usually there's an emotional component.
Interesting.
Okay. But it can also be brought about by dietary excesses, the accumulation of phlegm or a heat or a cold disorder that causes qi and blood stagnation in here where what we call the middle jiao or the middle burner. Okay, so a lot of these herbs are paired with other herbs that go directly here, okay? Or if it's a hot condition, a hot food stagnation kind of condition, then they would be paired with cooling herbs. And if it was a cold food stagnation problem, then they'd be paired with warming herbs, that kind of thing. And if there's an emotional component, then there'd be herbs there for that. So
does how long you're overindulging matter? And what I mean is...
Well, it just gets worse.
Okay, good. For some, it's been going on since Thanksgiving, right? So you're coming on a month of behavior that you don't do the rest of the year.
And what's interesting too, to me anyway, is that people... many people, I think this is relatively common, will tend to overindulge, suffer the consequences, and then do it again. Right? So it's kind of doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So the herbs and the formulas for this, actually, some of these formulas you can just buy on Amazon, but like the main herb or the premier food stagnation herb is something called hawthorn fruit or shanja.
Okay.
Please do
as
not
always
hold my horrible Chinese.
Here, why don't we help you start wrapping some things around here?
Okay, so we should probably start at the top and go down, and I can't reach all the way up there. Whoa.
I can reach, but not without falling into it. I will try.
Okay, there we go. Here, I'll pass it to you.
Okay.
So anyway, shanja is for food stagnation, and it does a whole bunch of stuff. But one of the main things that it's good for is food stagnation that is the result of consuming greasy foods or meat.
Bingo. Okay, so we like go to town on meat this time of year.
So that
and the greasy.
Put it next to where the end was. The end is over here. End is over here. End is over here. I got it. Okay, so that's shanja. So then there's another food stagnation herb that I refer to as compost.
Are these pre or post herbs? Like you take them before the problem or after the problem? After the problem. Okay.
Right. So then there's another one, shanja or I'm sorry, senchu, which is it's sort of like fermented. It really looks like compost. Like, it
Okay.
really does, and it's made out of all kinds of stuff. The Latin name is massa fermentada.
Okay.
So it's a mass of fermented something, and that is also good if the symptoms that accompany the food stagnation are like loss of appetite. Okay, so then there's a series of herbs that are really similar to each other, Maya, Guya, and Suya.
Okay.
And they are all grains. One is millet, one is barley, and one is rice sprouts.
Okay, so when I hear grain, I hear like something trying to absorb the excess. Am I kind of
well,
on the
those
right?
three herbs are really good for food stagnation that is the result of consuming starchy foods.
Okay.
And to a certain extent, dairy. Okay. Then there's something called Lyfudza, which is a radish seed.
Gallbladder.
Well, actually, yes. Yes. The radish seeds do course the gallbladder.
Okay.
And also there's an herb, well, I shouldn't really be calling them herbs. I should be calling them medicinals, because this one, Jin, which is really good for food stagnation and really good for the gallbladder, is the lining of the gizzard of a chicken.
Okay.
So it's not exactly, like a plant.
Right.
Here, do you have the end?
The end was right down in here somewhere.
Where is it? No.
Oh, let's just start anew here. Let me just start on this road down
Okay,
here
here you
by
go.
me.
Might have to go down a little bit. We're going to run
A little
out.
bit more. Okay.
So then there's some formulas that are also really, really good for food stagnation that contain, some of these herbs.
So now when you say formulas, you are talking about herbs, correct?
Well, no.
Not always. Okay.
I mean, we call them herbs, but honestly, it's more accurate to call them medicinals, because some Chinese herbs are animal products. Some Chinese herbs are, let's not go, I'm going to turn around and go back this way.
Okay.
Some Chinese herbs are minerals, so it is more accurate to call them medicinals. So anyway, so there's one formula
Okay.
that's really common that people can actually buy on Amazon, which is called Bao Hoan, which is
Say it again, please.
BAOHEWAN.
Okay.
And the English name is Preserve Harmony Pill.
Okay.
And that's sort of the go-to food stagnation formula, right? Then there's a couple of other formulas that focus on the spleen and stomach. There's one that contains bitter orange, which is really good for everything that's going on in here. So there's a pretty extensive grouping of herbs and formulas for overindulgence during the holidays or during any time.
So how do we know what to take, when to take? Should we be coming to see you proactively before all the overindulgence? Where do we begin?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, usually people come after,
Right.
afterwards.
Okay.
So why don't you spread those out kind of?
What kind of symptoms when they come afterwards? What you'll see the gambit of a myriad of things?
Yeah, so usually food stagnation is divided into a hot type or a cold type.
Okay.
And most people, let me just spread those out somewhere.
Okay.
Most people can figure out what the difference between hot and cold is, because it's, a hot type food stagnation. Oh,
Oop, there goes one.
number one. Here, we better
One
sweep
ornament
this
down.
up.
What about pre-existing conditions and how that affects what will be the result of your overindulgence?
Well, here, have some ornaments.
Have some more ornaments.
Pre-existing conditions. Pre-existing conditions tend to make everything worse.
Okay.
Or I should say, make everything a little more complex. One thing I should add about these ornaments, you probably know this, that I had these ornaments in a box for like 25 years, and I only opened it a couple of years ago, and so it's a bit like a time machine.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is kind of what a Christmas tree looked like 25 years ago. And also, because I lived in the Northwest, you'll see there's lots of sea life. Like, here's a shark, and there's a whale, and there was a penguin somewhere.
I saw the penguins over here. Yeah.
Right, so it is kind of funny. And then there's a whole bunch of ornaments that are fish. So it's a little weird for Las Vegas, but what can you do?
So what kind of complications could possibly arise new out of this overindulgence?
Here, this one should go down low somewhere. Say that again.
Can you overindulge so much during the holidays that you start a new problem or create something that now needs to be?
You can have a really serious, blood sugar problem or a high blood pressure problem. So, overindulgence is something we can probably get away with every once in a while, but as a lifestyle, it's definitely not a good direction to be going in.
Okay, so since you just sent us on that path, tell us about what does that mean as a lifestyle? Because that means you've had this experience with patients. So what is overindulgence as a lifestyle? It just never ends?
Yeah, kind of. It's really funny, It's like I had this patient, and she was, maybe a little younger than I am now, so in her 60s, in her mid-60s, or early 60s, and she was very unhappy about her inability to lose weight.
Okay.
And she came to my office one day, and she said, "Oh, I'm sorry I'm late. I had to stop at it," and it was some fast food restaurant. I forget which one it was. I had to stop and get something to eat there. And I said something to her like, "You don't see a lot of thin people eating at that place." And, she never came back. Okay. But, it's kind of like, and this was a few years ago. I probably would never say that now. But, so it's always like how much do you really want to confront people? But really it's true. I mean, without looking at her diet and making some changes, is she able to take off the 30 pounds that she wants to?
So that's somebody who doesn't want to. What about somebody who comes in and says, "I can't stop. What do? I do want to tackle this."
Well, it's really hard to stop a behavior, but it's much easier, I think, to replace one behavior with another.
Okay.
Then it's like, okay, what are your triggers for overindulging? Like, what is it? What is your Achilles heel here? And when we can identify that or several of them, then we strategize, okay, well, what can you do instead? Right? What can you do instead? And that requires a certain amount of creativity.
Okay.
Because what's going to work for one person is not necessarily going to work for everybody else. So it's really behavior modification.
So how do you counsel patients from your standpoint and your Chinese medicine background, and what's the path you get them off going on?
Because it's all about harmonious balance, right? So it's like, okay, you're not going to be able to follow your usual routine through the holidays. And you don't want to be, a pain in the neck and get everybody mad at you because, I'm not partaking like everybody else. And so, it's really kind of a strategy about timing and about putting yourself in these kinds of positions, putting yourself in a position where you're going to sabotage yourself, right? And so that takes a hard look at your lifestyle and your triggers. And here, why don't you do something with that? It's kind of big, so maybe down low.
What about the throwing alcohol and drugs into the mix this time of year?
Well,
more so than usual.
Did I just break another one. Honestly, I just broke another one.
Oh,
What is the matter with me? Well, yeah. So there are now. Okay. So we just talked about herbs, but there's also very specific. Oh, wait, that's not a good place. There's also a lot of.
here's the hook we can use.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of options that we have with acupuncture.
Okay.
Okay, this ornament is really ugly.
Oh, come on, it's like rock and roll, man. So on the acupuncture side, is it like when we feel ourselves coming down with something, like when you wake up feeling like crap from overindulgence to come right in?
Oh yeah, that would be a really great idea.
And what are you using the acupuncture for in that regard?
Okay, so the food. What has the food stagnation done? It's well, it's a chicken or the egg thing. Which came first? There's chi and perhaps blood stasis. Okay, which is either causing the food stagnation or the food stagnation is causing the chi stasis. So basically, as we've talked about before, it's all about movement, right? When the chi is moving in the channels like it's supposed to, everything's great. So when there's an obstruction, like with food stagnation, it's right there. Then you have, you can have pain, but you can just feel distended, or you might have diarrhea, or you might have constipation. You might have, like in a hot type of food stagnation, you might have bad breath or belching that smells bad. Gas that smells bad, that's all heat. You can also get cold food stagnation, which is basically from overindulgence in cold foods.
Okay.
So like this time of year when it's cold, I would really discourage people from eating any cold raw foods.
Okay.
Right? Because we have external cold, because it's cold out. And then we have, you don't want to put internal cold.
Hockey puck.
Okay, there's the hockey puck. So you don't want to eat, it's just not very healthy, for example, to eat cold foods when it's cold outside. Okay, you can't hang them all. You can't hang them all. You got to put the big ones down below.
What about the quality of the overindulgence? And what I mean is, does it matter if the overindulgence, if you've eaten too much meat that you normally eat versus if it's processed, fried food, highly fat and oil? Like, does any of that come into play of what the overindulgence is?
Yeah, absolutely. Here's a couple of things there. So yeah, absolutely. So some of the herbs are specifically are better for treating overindulgence in meat or greasy foods.
Okay.
Some herbs are better at treating overindulgence in grains or starchy foods.
Okay, so then we do recognize that. Okay.
Yeah. Here is a dolphin.
Oh, look how pretty we're getting.
I know. Here. Yeah, so
is there anything that can be done ahead of time other than don't? Like it's just there's nothing prep we should be taking herb wise. We shouldn't be coming to see you ahead of the holidays for. Can you give us any sort of acupuncture tune-up that will minimize any of these effects?
Yes. So one thing going into the holidays is you really want to have your middle jiao or your middle burner or your spleen and stomach in as healthy a condition as possible, right? So it's always good to be a little proactive and make sure that your digestion is working really well ahead of time so that you're not as likely to overpower it. So, because that's the real thing. So, like, let's say you have a patient who has a weak spleen and stomach. It's probably going to be pretty easy for them to overindulge, right? Because they're
lovely.
Their spleen and stomach is easily oppressed.
Right.
Okay. So,
or your weakest vulnerability gets attacked, as you said. Like for me, I can always feel it in my gallbladder.
Right. So there's that. Getting a little tune-up prior to The holidays is always a great idea.
Okay, so there's some little something proactively we can do. When we do come and see you and you have us stick out our tongue, you can tell immediately?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you've been overindulging.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Usually the pulse, well, it depends, but usually the pulse would show us, and also the coating on the tongue would be pretty obvious. Usually the coating on the tongue is supposed to, it's supposed to be there, right? We call it the moss. It's supposed to be on the tongue, but I'm supposed to be able to see through it and see the color of the tongue underneath.
Okay.
So if you look at your own tongue and you have a coating on your tongue that you can't see the color of your tongue underneath, that's too much coating. So that means that there's an excess problem. And that excess problem is more than likely food stagnation.
Okay.
So, part of this is Chinese medicine, herbs, and acupuncture. Part of it is lifestyle recommendations, that kind of thing.
A little dose of good sense doesn't help or doesn't hurt.
Right. And also...
But you get caught up in the moment. I mean, since I've had my gallbladder problem, I've stopped most of my overindulgences, right?
Yeah.
So when I go somewhere, as tomorrow I'm expecting to go somewhere, when I see that bowl of chips, I just want to dive right in, man, because when was the last time I had them?
Right, a long time ago.
Right, so it's hard to avoid, is my point.
Yes, it is hard to avoid.
And then before you know it, you're feeling the overindulgence.
Right, so like for you, getting some acupuncture ahead of time is a good idea.
Okay.
And just understanding that your limits are different now than they once were. Right? Whereas maybe in the past, I can't get up high enough. Maybe in the past, you could, abuse your gallbladder and get away with it, but you're not getting away with it anymore.
Right. What about people who are health compromised or cancer or just, heart or other issues, so it makes it even more, makes them even more vulnerable, I imagine?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And also, one thing that I think is kind of important too is, what are you, like, one of my colleagues once said, what are you feeding when you're eating? And there's some wisdom in that, I think.
Can you tell us a little more about that and what we mean?
Well, a lot of people, I think, feel that eating is a reward.
Okay.
Right? So like eating, rich foods or desserts or something is
right. I've been good all week.
Right. I've been good and I deserve this.
Right.
And really, I wonder about that. I really wonder about that. What? Why? What?
Well, if you just think of it species-wise, before we learned to process food, we were never like that. It was a picked and killed diet, and there were no, indulgences really. It was
there were. Like when the berries came in the summer, people might overindulge in that.
Yep.
But it wasn't something that we could do all year long because it just didn't exist. So now, we've got all of this processed foods, and that's the other thing. Like, well, if you consider eating, the fish broke. Here's another broken one.
Oh, too bad.
Another fish.
A nice one.
What you're eating? Like what? Like why? Like I had a patient the other day say that she just felt like having some comfort food, and it's like, okay, but then she had that, and then she had a bunch of dietary issues, and
naturally, right.
And so it's like, okay, maybe this was quote unquote comfort food to you when you were little, but clearly you're not handling it like you used to when you were a little girl. So maybe, it's more of a psychological dependence.
Correct. So then how do you help break that?
Very cute.
How does Chinese medicine help break the psychological dependence aspect? Because now you're getting into like addiction and everything, which you deal with regularly as well.
So there's some ear acupuncture protocols for addictions, because it is kind of an addiction. It is like a food addiction. I have a patient right now, for example, that has me do this kind of food addiction protocol on her because she has cravings, and when she starts eating sweets, she can't stop.
Oh.
So, and she eats at night. Like she wakes up in the middle of the night and eats, which
really bad, and then go back to bed. That's really bad.
Which is really bad. And so there's a pickle.
Oh, there's a pickle, and that will get you in a pickle, waking up in the middle of the night and eating.
Yeah, exactly. So, so she finds that this ear protocol really is helpful. And so basically whenever she comes in, I always add that in. And
so you'll add it in regularly, even if she's not saying I'm having the
and
cravings.
actually, I'm going to see her tomorrow, which is Christmas Eve, and I'm sure she's going to want me to do that protocol for her.
Very interesting.
Right. And then there's also some acupuncture points for overindulging in alcohol.
Okay.
So there's that.
Okay, so what advice do you as you're seeing people between Thanksgiving and Christmas in general, does the topic come up about the holidays and what people? I mean, obviously, just in your general chit chat, you're asking people about their holiday plans and whatnot. So how do you lead that into therapeutically, and which of your patients need to be sort of prepped and warded off for the holidays? So what's your strategy there?
Well, usually I just ask them, nope, it's metal. I ask them, a little bit about their routine on the holidays and what their plans are. And, and then we kind of go from there. And again, I try and help them develop a strategy for minimizing the possible ill effects of overindulgence.
Which is the theme of the season. So, all right, we're going to let everybody get back to their thing. It's the holiday time. How'd we do? Okay. Look at this. Nice, huh?
Pretty good.
Not so bad, yeah.
Here's another fish.
Like I said, the Aaron Sorkin walk and talk. So, anyways, as always, this is Susan Wellman, who is an Oriental medicine doctor and East Asian medical practitioner here in the Las Vegas, Nevada Valley. Her information comes across the screen regularly for you to be able to get in touch with her, make an appointment, do something other than just gamble, another type of overindulgence that we could spend time talking about someday. Also, leave comments in the bottom. Go ahead. You have something final
also,
piece of advice?
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah.
And thank you for sticking with us. Next week will be a year of doing this.
I know. And, you can get a lot of benefit from Chinese medicine before the holidays to make sure that your middle jiao or your middle burner, your spleen and stomach is as healthy as possible. And then we can also help you with figuring out some strategies to, stick to maybe one piece of grandma's pie instead of three,
Instead of the whole pie.
Except for the whole pie.
Do you want to take the rest home? Oh, yes.
Sure.
And I'll eat it tonight on the way out.
Exactly.
Okay, everybody, have a great holiday season. Like I said, next week we'll be back in the studio, but I already have a couple of little things planned for our 1-year celebration.
Oh, boy.
This is the In Medicine and On Medicine podcast. Have a great day.